friends. I'm your host, Dr. Dave Layton, and thank you for joining me in our journey to hope. It is my desire through this podcast to bring you information about how to discover, sustain, or perhaps regain hope. Well, in this episode, we'll be speaking with Donna McCord. She's the president of the Women of Hope. Hello, Donna.
Well, hello, Dave. How are you?
I'm doing good, and I'm deeply honored that you're a guest on this show. Thank you.
Well,
and
thank you.
I mean that. I've looked forward to this interview. We've had a bit of a challenge getting together with schedules and everything. But
well, I'm
that's
really
okay.
excited to be here.
But I do appreciate you agreeing to be a guest. You've got some really good information, and I want you to be talking about a little bit about yourself here in a minute, and also about Women of Hope and what they do. But you're helping folks that are faced with an incredible challenge in their life, and that's really what this podcast is about. All of us have challenges, and those of us that have been through some of those challenges, we just can't help but turn around and put a hand out to somebody else and help them through the challenges.
That's true. You know, one Sunday I was in Sunday school, and my Sunday school teacher was talking about how people have different ministries.
Yes.
And she said, just like Donna, she has a ministry, and I'm kind of looking around everybody like,
who do I preach for?
Lord, what kind of ministry could I have? And I said, what do you mean? And she said, well, because of you having breast cancer, you talk to ladies every day who are just getting diagnosed.
Yes.
And I never thought of me having a ministry.
Oh, it is. And I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but I tell people that I talk to, you have been given a gift. And you don't realize it, maybe not right now, but think about it that way, because you now have a way that you can reach and touch people and help people that others can't.
That's true, because unless you've walked in those shoes, and you know as a cancer survivor yourself, unless you've walked in those shoes, you do not understand.
Well, we know things intellectually, but once we've made that journey, we really, really do understand what it's like. And your ministry is helping out with Women of Hope, and thank you for that. Well, before we get to talking about Women of Hope, let's roll back just a couple of minutes and let's talk about you. I want to know a little bit about you, let our listeners know who Donna is.
Okay. Well, I am a 16-year, 11-month breast cancer survivor.
16 years, 11 months.
Yes.
That is wonderful.
I was...
just that alone gives people hope. Cancer's not the death sentence it used to be.
that's true.
Wonderful.
Because when I call someone, like if you told me your wife had breast cancer and I call her, she has no idea who I am on the other line. And I'm talking to them and tell them who I am, and then when I tell them I'm a 16-year breast cancer survivor, their whole attitude changes. They say, oh, really? And so I feel like when they hear me say that, it gives them hope.
It does. It truly does. And my particular cancer was leukemia, but hearing that 16 years, that's wonderful. The big markers are the first year and then the fifth year. And then you go from there. Okay.
That's true.
All right. Well, tell us a little bit more about yourself. 16 years and 11 months.
Right.
Awesome.
Right. Like who's counting? but anyhow, I have been married for 52 years.
Okay. Congratulations.
To Benny McCord, my husband. And we have 2 children, Amy and Brian, and I have 3 awesome grandchildren, Katie, Zach, and Tyler. Zach and Tyler are twins, which has been a double blessing and an experience in life. But that's probably, my children and grandchildren are the greatest accomplishments in my life.
I know what you mean.
If anybody were to ask me.
I do know what you mean.
But I married right out of high school. I went to Robert E. Lee High School.
Okay.
And so I married the month after I graduated. And about a year after I got married, I went to work for the state of Alabama. And so I think 29 years and 9 months later, I retired from the state of Alabama Finance Department.
Okay.
I worked at the state motor pool in the administrative
I know where you worked.
section. Really?
I worked downtown at the Department of Post-Secondary Education.
Oh, okay.
And so I was not too far away from you.
Right.
Went over there and got a car many times.
Okay, well, sometimes I was up front.
Okay.
Usually I was in the back.
Okay.
So anyhow, but yes, I spent many, many years there. And, but I did retire from there. Trying to think, well, I was telling y'all about it when I was diagnosed. My mother had been diagnosed with pancreatic cancer.
Oh, okay.
I want to say in the year 2005 maybe. So for about a year and a half, I didn't go to doctor appointments. Our lives were just consumed of taking care of her and taking her to doctor appointments and all. And
so you kind of neglected yourself a little bit there? Is that what you're saying?
Right.
Oh, wow.
I just didn't go to
You know
the
better than that
doctor.
now, don't you?
Right. And
Wow.
and I can remember taking my mother to chemo one day, and after chemo, we always went to Country's Barbecue.
Okay.
That was our favorite. I took her home, and I went back to work. And I remember telling the ladies how it was unbelievable the number of people at the Montgomery Cancer Center. I mean, It was just so many people.
Yeah.
And I said, no telling how many of us are walking around with cancer and we don't even know it. So I had made a decision in 2006. I said, okay, come 2007, I'm going to get back on track going to my doctors. So I had gone for my checkup with my gynecologist, and everything was fine. The next week I went and had a mammogram. So I left there, and before I went back to work, I ran to the drugstore. While I was there, the lady who did my mammogram, she's a good friend of mine. And so when about 45 minutes after I left, I get a phone call. They want me to come back. And see, that happened the very first time I had a mammogram. I got back to work, and they said, Donna, they want you to come back. Well, it just scared me to death, but I went back. They just didn't get a clear picture.
Okay.
So when they called me this time, it didn't scare me. I didn't worry about it. I just knew they just didn't get a good picture and won't do it again. So I go back, and I'm sitting out in the waiting room talking to these people, just happy as a lark. And my friend opened the door, and I will never forget when she opened the door, she stared at the floor. She never looked me straight in the eye. And I knew at that moment something wasn't right.
Something wasn't right. That's right.
So I went in. So I got up and went in, and she said, the doctor wants to talk to you. So he was telling me that he saw some calcifications on my mammogram, and that I needed to go and see a surgeon. And I said, well, I can't deal with that right now. And
because of caring for your mom?
And he said, no, Miss McCord, you don't understand. You really need to go see a surgeon. And I said, no, sir, you really don't understand. I said, my mother is expected to die at any moment. I said, I have called Red Cross. My husband was deployed in Iraq. I said, he is sitting in Kuwait right now waiting for a plane to get him home on emergency leave. And so he said, okay, I understand. He said, but once all of this is over, you need to make an appointment to see a surgeon. I said, yes, sir.
Was that for the biopsy that they wanted you to see the surgeon?
No, they didn't do a biopsy.
Okay.
He just wanted me to go see a surgeon.
Okay.
So my husband got home 2 days before my mother died. And so while he was there, I could have seen a surgeon and gone and had surgery and everything, but there was just so much going on. I just wanted to enjoy him being home.
Sure.
And so once he flew back the next week, I went and saw my surgeon. And my daughter, Amy, she went with me to all of my doctor appointments because of her dad being in Iraq. And she said that when they brought up the mammogram, she said she knew that's what it was, but she didn't say anything to me about it because she works for a law firm, and she dealt with breast cancer
Okay.
clients and all. So she had seen
Yeah.
that. But anyhow, so I had I had a lumpectomy. I had stage 1. Let's see, I think February 7th I had my surgery. On the 9th, the doctor called me. I was at my sister's house. She was taking care of me. And she kept waiting around. And she said, I have got to go to the drugstore. While she was going to the drugstore, the doctor called and told me on the phone that I had breast
Yeah.
cancer.
Wow.
And that was very, very hard when
Yeah.
she got back. She said, did the doctor ever call? I just couldn't hardly get it out. But
Yeah.
anyhow,
Okay.
so they told me that. And so I went and had the surgery. Well, I mean, I'd already had my lumpectomy. And then 2 weeks later, I went and they removed 20 plus lymph nodes. And all of them were clear.
Okay.
And,
Wow. A couple of things I'm picking up there. Early detection is important. The earlier the better. And now you had a lot going on all at one time, and so being able to get right in there and take care of it was a little bit delayed, but I'm glad that you did when you did. How did you feel when it was confirmed that you had? And the reason I'm asking that is sometimes folks it's just devastating news, tragic news, and you and I were talking a little bit before. It's like, where'd this come from, or that sort of thing. So how did you feel?
I remember the moment I heard it, my first thought was, how much longer do I have to live?
Yeah.
And I think probably most cancer survivors or patients,
Yeah.
when they hear those words,
Yeah.
that's their first thought.
Yeah.
But what I did learn through this, when something like this happens, you have to accept it. You have to accept the diagnosis.
Yeah, you have to process it in your mind.
Right. Then you have to embrace it. Say, okay, I've got breast cancer, and now we're going to do what we got to do.
Okay.
And you go on with your treatments. And so many ladies that I talk to, they ask me, one of the biggest questions they ask me is, when is my life ever going to be normal again?
Oh.
When am I ever going to feel normal again?
Yes.
And I usually hesitate. And I say, well, I'm going to tell you what, your life will never be normal
That's right.
again.
We use that expression, this is your new normal. Yes, your life will never be the same again.
But you will find a new normal.
Yeah.
It's just like if you go through a divorce, or if you lose when you lose a loved one that you're really close to, your life is never normal again, but you have to find a new normal.
For a lot of us, my shared experience on that was really coming face to face with your mortality.
Right.
And yes, Dr. Avery, my oncologist, he said, you will never be the man you used to be physically or mentally. And I've seen that, a little bit slower thinking sometimes, a little trouble getting those words out, and I don't have the stamina I used to have. But I want to say something. I told Dr. Avery, I said, yes, sir, I am not the man I used to be, because this has really opened my eyes. And I've had the opportunity to grow spiritually through this.
I did too.
I've grown in a very focused direction in my life of where I want to go and what I want to do. And yes, you have too, with the Women of Hope and other things.
And you look at life differently.
You do.
Like you used to stress over that I vacuum the house every week or do this every week, or so what now?
Sometimes you have different priorities now.
I mean, because we all know that we're born to die.
Sure.
But at 53 years old, I had never thought about, could my time be soon? And of course, none of us are sure tomorrow.
Right. Somebody told me a long time ago, said we're all terminal. Some of us are just a little more terminal than others.
Yeah, and some people, they say, well, am I fixing to die? Well, yeah, we all are.
Yeah.
We just don't know when.
Yeah. And you know, it's interesting. Yes, cancer's serious, but again, as you and I said, it's not the death penalty it used to be. But it is life-changing, nevertheless. And it's a scary thing until you do come to grips with it and understand.
Right, because many women, I was a stage 1. Many women are diagnosed with stage 4, which means it's metastasized
Yeah.
to other parts of their body. And they live for many, many years. They're just, constantly going through treatments for so long and then stop. And so it is not a death sentence.
Okay. Well, your life has turned a different direction than you ever anticipated it would, and now you're the president of Women of Hope. I want to explore that a little bit. Let's talk about the Women of Hope and as a service organization to women that have gone through or going through breast cancer. Well, I don't want to tell about it. I want you to tell about it, but yes, explain what it does, and also let's talk about your role in your as president of.
Okay. When I was first diagnosed, one of the first things I did was I called the American Cancer Society.
Okay.
And I asked them, are there any support groups in Montgomery that for breast cancer? And they told me about Women of Hope. So I contacted, she gave me a phone number, and I called Maria Ashmore is who I talked with. She's the founder of Women of Hope.
Okay.
It was founded in 2006.
Okay.
And
well, now is that Women of Hope in Montgomery that was founded in 2006?
Right.
Okay. Okay. But let me ask you something real quick. Some of our listeners are not in the Montgomery area, obviously, and so would they be able to find a Women of Hope chapter in their region, perhaps?
Well, unless somebody else has started one, we don't have.
Okay, so it's not necessarily a national organization.
No,
okay.
No.
I want to come back to that.
Okay.
Well, let me throw it in here right now, and I apologize for interrupting your train of thought. I tell people, look, one of the best ways to find hope is to get out of yourself and do something for somebody else. So if somebody's looking around saying, I would love to have a Women of Hope chapter, well, maybe they need to start one. And that's where I wanted to go with it. So anyway, I interrupted you, and I apologize. Go back to 2006 was when it started. And
right. It was founded in 2006 by Maria Ashmore.
Okay.
And she had been diagnosed, I think, the year or two before that. And there was no support groups out there. And so she started it. And
good
so
for her.
I started going, and we have support groups on the second Tuesday of every month at Fraser Church in Montgomery.
Okay.
Now, we have people from Montgomery and surrounding
this area.
Right. We have people coming from Greenville, up in Clanton, Selma, Tuskegee.
Okay.
All around.
Yeah.
Wetumpka, Prattville. So we serve the Tri-County areas also. But I know we'll get to about the meetings and all later on.
No, that's fine. Now, so if somebody comes to a Women of Hope meeting, what are they going to experience?
Okay. Well, what they're going to do, and I did the same thing the first time I walked in. I walked in and I didn't know anybody. And first thing you do, we have a table there with some ladies, and you sign in. And
yet you are a member of a family.
And your eyes are like this, And
this book I wrote on Journey to Hope, the subtitle was No One Walks Alone. That's something that's so important for folks going through this need to know. You are not alone.
Right.
And so you walked into that room and felt a little bit alone.
I did, because I didn't know anybody, but I can meet anybody and talk with anybody.
You and I became friends immediately, absolutely.
Right, the first time me and you talked. So I just went in there with a smile and looking forward to meeting people.
Yeah.
And so I have so many friends breast cancer friends, and we also have people involved with Women of Hope who've never had breast cancer.
Okay. Okay.
So, and they're on our board or they're volunteers.
Okay. Great.
So, you don't have to be a breast cancer
Right.
survivor.
Okay. That's good to
You
know.
you just have a passion for
There you go.
what we do.
Yep. Yep.
And we have many.
And somebody might not have it themselves. We may have had a loved one that did, perhaps.
Right,
Okay.
right. And but, it's just, you go in and you meet these people, and we have speakers which consist of breast cancer survivors who tell their story. And I'm usually sitting in the back, and as someone is up there telling their story, how they felt, what they went through, and how scared they were, I may see a lady sitting in front of me that doesn't have a hair on her head, and her head is shaking, and I know what she's feeling is, I'm feeling the same
Sure.
thing. And so they get a lot of comfort from hearing
Good.
from other survivors, which is giving them hope.
Yeah.
Then we have doctors on our professional board. We have doctors that come and tell about the latest medicines, techniques, procedures that they're doing.
And answer questions from
Right.
somebody that they may have. Sure.
Right. And like we had in January, we had a doctor come that reads all the mammograms and PET scans, MRIs, and so everybody was having. I probably had the most questions, but it was very, very informative. So, and we've even had. I know of one particular lady that she was very involved with Women of Hope on our board and everything, and but she wasn't a breast cancer survivor, but she ended up getting breast cancer. And I can remember the first meeting she came to after her diagnosis, she had a total different look on her face. She came in as a totally different person.
Yeah.
Like, here I am, and I'm one of you now.
Yeah.
But I feel like by her being involved with Women of Hope, she had learned so much. I don't think she probably felt as scared. She didn't feel alone because she knew that we were a group of caring people that was going to be there for her.
And that's so important, not just for the patient, the lady that's going through that, but their caregivers need to know that too. And sometimes the caregiver feels all alone and doesn't have the support they need.
Because our mission is to help educate, which most of the education comes through our doctors, but and to support them, and we're talking about the newly diagnosed breast cancer patient, survivors where they've been a survivor for 6 months or 20 years.
Oh yeah.
And but to help them, their families, their caregivers, and a lot of them bring their friends, because a friend wants to come with them so they're not by themselves.
Right.
So, because sometimes it's harder on the caregiver than it is the patient.
It is.
Because they just feel so helpless.
They do, and frustrated, and sometimes I sensed being overburdened. Got my life, but now I've got to take care of this too, and so I really appreciate it.
And I know when both of my parents, they had cancer and they've passed away, I used to go with them to the cancer center. And I can remember sitting in the waiting room. I can remember going in the doctor's little office. I remember everything they said. But when it came to me, the one sitting in the chair, I couldn't comprehend anything. It was like I was in a fog. And every time we'd leave an appointment, I'd ask Amy, I'd say, now what did he say?
I laugh because I would go in and the doctor would be telling me about all this and I'd be pointing over to my wife.
And it's like their mouth is just moving and you're not hearing
so
anything.
Lynn always came with me and she would take the notes and she would ask the questions. And
Well, that's a good thing. I tell people, you always need somebody to go with you. You need another set of ears.
You do.
Because what you hear, because like my dad, my mother had already passed away, And my dad, he said, did they really say they think it's cancer?
Yeah.
And
Something
said,
else I
yes,
want to
sir.
share, though, is my wife got to meet the wonderful care providers, those doctors and nurses and med tech. She got to see them and know them. So when I say, oh, Brentley was wonderful today, she knows who Brentley is and she knows how Brentley acts and all of that. So, all right. Well, that's great. So you've told us about the Women of Hope and some of the services that they offer. Let me ask you, and you talked about when they meet.
Well, now, I want to tell you,
yeah,
you want me to, now a lot of services that we do.
Okay, sure, yes.
Okay, we provide water to the Montgomery Cancer Center and to Prattville Cancer Center.
Oh, and some other things too. Yesterday when I was at the Cancer Center, I saw some packets that you guys had put together and had available for the patients. That's always so appreciated.
Oh, really? You saw that?
I did, and we make sure we've got them right there where we are.
Well, now I think the volunteers at the Montgomery. Now you're at the Prattville.
I'm at the Prattville branch of the Montgomery Cancer Center.
The volunteers, I think, have started. They put labels on our bottles for us.
Yes. Okay.
So.
Okay. But you do that, and you have some information out there for folks that when you meet and all of that. See, we do make that available to folks.
Right.
That's very important.
And now we don't have the schedules printed yet.
Okay.
Because, see, in March of 2020, we just started back having our sport group meetings because of COVID.
Yes.
So we were out.
COVID was tough.
It was.
I went through my treatment during the COVID years, and my wife could not come back into the area. And it was because, when you're going through this, your immunity is compromised already. So the caregiver could not go back into the treatment area. Now, they can now, but originally they couldn't. That was kind of a lonely time.
Oh, I know it.
Which, by the way, made me appreciate even more the volunteers and the nursing staff because they kept an eye on us. We were treated very well. Okay. So what else do you do? You provide the water, the bottles of water,
Right.
and I notice sometimes some of the snack things that we have available, things like that too. So what else do y'all do?
At the Montgomery Cancer Center, there's a foundation, the Cancer Wellness Foundation.
Okay.
We are in partnership with them. We give them a grant every year.
Okay.
So for women who are needing lymphedema gloves or sleeves,
Okay.
that a lot of insurances do not pay for it.
Really? Okay.
And they're very expensive.
Okay.
So, but there's anything to do with lymphedema problems.
Okay.
And so we give them a grant every year.
Okay. That's good to know because sometimes there are some spin-off issues that have to be taken care of as well.
Now, they have to go there and they have to fill out an application.
Okay.
And
where can they get that application?
At the Montgomery Cancer Center. They just would need to ask for, I guess they probably need to call for an appointment.
Okay.
I know they're upstairs on the second floor at the Montgomery Cancer Center, but we do that. And anytime when we get word that somebody has been diagnosed, we have these beautiful bags, Women of Hope bags. It's got our name on it.
Okay.
And they're big enough. We put a blanket in it.
Yes.
We've got a journal in it. We've got, what do you call them? Put your water in.
A koozie?
Tumblers.
Tumbler, okay.
Yes. It's got our name on it.
Good.
I mean, we have a book in there. We have a lot of pink items, and everybody loves it. It just makes, it's a feel good.
Yeah.
Makes him, because believe me, once you're diagnosed with breast cancer, pink becomes your new color. In fact, when I was my twin grandsons, they were like maybe 3 or 4 years old when I was diagnosed. Everything I had pink ribbons. So when they would see a pink ribbon, like on a billboard or something, in their minds, that's for my grandma.
There you go.
Because my son-in-law used to make fun of me about I was a walking pink ribbon. I said, I don't carry it for people to look at me and say, oh, are you a breast cancer survivor? I wear it to bring awareness.
Yes.
You know, maybe if they see that pink ribbon, they'll think,
Yeah.
oh, I need to get my mammogram, you know.
And there may be somebody out there who is a cancer victim, and again, that symbolizes you're not alone.
That's true. That's true.
You've got a
I
whole
even
team
have
behind
a
you.
Christmas tree in my office at home. It's my breast cancer Christmas tree.
Okay.
People give me ornaments all the time to do with breast cancer, and
There you go.
so I have it sitting up all year long. But
Okay, so what are the services?
well, like I said, the water, the lymphedema sleeves, that mission, and our bags, and of course the little bag you were talking about. We have those. That's just kind of as an introduction.
Well, and of course you'd also do educational things. You get the information out to people.
Right, and because see, especially during Breast Cancer Awareness Month in October, we have people call from churches that wants us to come and speak.
Yes.
We have organizations that, like we have Leather and Lace Motorcycle Group.
Okay.
It's a group of ladies. Awesome. So they are some of the most hardworking, caring group of people you'd ever want to meet. And they have a fundraiser for us every year.
Okay.
All these motorcycles come in decorated up, and they have auctions and all this kind of stuff. They do a fundraiser for us, but also it's bringing awareness to the community.
Yeah. Okay.
And I've gone and spoke at AUM one time, at Hooper Academy when my granddaughter was there.
Let me ask you: Do you ever speak to nursing students or anything like that? Because I've noticed the medical profession, and I used to work with the 2-year college system with developing curriculum, and I did it with health sciences nurses and all. So they're just incredible people to begin with. But I've just come to have such a love for oncology nurses. And so I wonder if you ever speak to any of them, or perhaps that would be a good target to speak to.
It really would. I know when I spoke at AUM, to be honest with you, I don't remember I don't think it was a nursing group.
Okay.
Maybe it was just students.
Okay, yeah.
You know, and there were guys and girls in there. And of course, I always try to stress that men can get breast cancer also.
That's true.
And, you know, this one guy he said, are you saying I can get breast cancer?
Yes, you can.
That also happened when I was
it's
at
rare,
Hooper
but it does
Academy
happen.
speaking. This one guy, he said, are you saying I can get breast cancer? I said, yes, sir, you can. I said, if you have breast, you can get breast cancer, which I was surprised. They were not laughing or smirking. They were really listening to every word I said. And then a year later or 2 years later, I ran into a young guy at a gas station down in Snowden, and he had on a pink bracelet like mine. And I said, oh, what does your bracelet say? And he looked at it. He said, Women of Hope. And I said, you were at the school I spoke to. And his dad said he wears it every day.
Yeah. Wow.
So, you know, if I didn't make an impression on anybody but that one guy, you know. And
I had a guest recently who, Jamie Allen Vaughn, is a advocate for early detection and treatment of breast cancer. And she actually had a guest on one of her shows, a male who had breast cancer. So I know, yes, it does affect males, not as much. But it is possible. Yeah. It's amazing. Okay. So those are some of the major services that you guys provide. And I think of everything that y'all do, the being there for people is just so important.
Right. And at our support group meetings, most people start getting there a little after 5, but at 5:30 we start serving food.
Okay.
We say a light meal, but we have a pretty good meal.
Okay.
Catered in, and so from King's Table Catering. I'll throw a shout out to them.
Absolutely.
They are wonderful, and the food is
I
delicious.
allow commercials on this show.
We're good.
These people that support us, yes, I want to let people know who you are.
Our Al Steineker's the owner of that.
Okay, good.
And so he brings our food.
And what was it called now? The
King's Table.
Okay.
So, but anyhow, but we serve a light meal, and then we start with our announcements, and then we announce the speaker, and then the speaker will take questions. Usually we're finished about 7:30.
Okay.
And
a lot of socializing going on. People,
it is.
and that's great.
People, and that's what we encourage people to do. Meet other people.
Yeah, don't shut yourself in.
Right. Get their phone numbers. Find out who's got what kind of. Of course, we always get anyone who's been newly diagnosed. I always ask them to stand, and I always say, we don't want to put you on the spot, but if you'll stand, tell us your name and what's going on.
Yeah.
So, but
okay.
Like I said, if it had not been for breast cancer, I would have never crossed paths with so many people that are dear to me in my life.
Well, there's somebody that you know that is a very, very dear friend of ours that, in fact, she's like a daughter to us, and I mean that very much. Katie Griffiths.
Yes.
Katie went through breast cancer while she was pregnant.
Yes.
And she decided to not abort that child. And that little girl was born healthy and beautiful, and she's strong and healthy now. And Katie wanted me to tell you hello.
Well, tell Katie I had said hello. I'm friends with her on Facebook.
Good.
So I'll follow her. And she spoke at one of our support group meetings.
Yes.
And she had an awesome video that she showed, when she was pregnant, bald-headed, and...
she is such an inspiration, and
she really is.
In fact, we're trying to get her scheduled to be on this show.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I definitely want Katie to be a guest of mine. All right. Well, let me ask you this: if somebody wants to get a hold of Women of Hope, how can they do that?
Okay. Y'all get your pencil and papers out.
Okay.
Okay. Our telephone number is 334-220-4599 is our telephone number. Now, our email address is womenofhope@charter.net. We are on Facebook as Women of Hope, Montgomery, Alabama.
That was Women of Hope, Montgomery, Alabama.
If you do Facebook, go to our page and start following. And on there, the lady that handles that will go on and tell when our support group meetings are.
Okay.
And
the web page was thewomenofhope.org.
On the website. The website is thewomenofhope.org.
Now the email is Women of Hope. The Facebook is Women of Hope Montgomery, Alabama, and the webpage is thewomenofhope.org. Make sure I got that in. And by the way, when I do the show notes, I'll have that information on there.
Yeah, we try to make it as confusing as possible.
Well, sometimes you don't get the title you would like to have because somebody else has it.
That's true. Okay. And but I also want to mention, now we are a nonprofit 501c3 organization. So we operate strictly on donations. We have people that, we have people that have fundraisers for us, and we have people who send in all the time. They will mail in a donation to Women of Hope just because they heard about us, or maybe someone in their family that has had breast cancer. A lot of people, they will send donations in honor of somebody or in memory of somebody.
Okay, yes.
And if anybody would like to do that, our address is P.O. Box 241411, Montgomery, Alabama 36124.
Okay, that was P.O. Box 241411, Montgomery, Alabama 36124.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, because I think that's important. Something I found, Donna, I've noticed cancer treatment, cancer care, whatever, is incredibly expensive.
Right.
And people are looking to donate, and that's great. We want them to, but I want people to know, I've noticed, of all the different charities I've looked at and talked with, I see the benefit. I personally have felt the benefit. That money is being used.
Right.
I mean, because all of us have the potential to be affected with cancer. Even if you are not yourself a patient, you have a relative who is, you know somebody who is. And so they can know that money is used to treat cancer, to find a cure for cancer, to educate about cancer and all of that. And it affects so many people.
Because all of us board members and all the volunteers, none of us get paid.
Yeah.
None of us get paid. Right. And so any money that we get goes on, just like the bags we make, you know, they're probably worth like $50.
Okay.
But, I mean, that's not a lot of money, but you wouldn't believe the number of bags that we give out.
Yeah.
And if nothing else, but that right there is just makes somebody just diagnose.
It does.
Oh, somebody loves me. You know, somebody's thinking of me. And the lymphedema sleeves, they can go anywhere from $500 to $2,500. And the water that, you know, we provide.
Yeah, these things cost money.
And
sometimes companies or corporations will provide things,
right?
But not everything. Right. So it does take
literature
donations.
And I mean everything costs.
Yeah. So if you guys are doing a fundraiser, I want people to know that and to pay attention to that and participate and help out with that fundraiser.
I mean, we have people that's reached out to us that did a fundraiser in October. We didn't know about it till after the fact when they sent us, you know, Hyundai. They have we partner also with United Ways.
Okay.
You know, when people fill out that form for United Ways, they've approved us to be involved in that. Okay. And there's a section, and so we receive a check like every 3 months from employees. Like when I worked for the state, I was in charge there at the motor pool.
Okay.
If anybody wanted to have, whether it was $1 or $5 deducted on one payday a month, and you designate where you want that money to go. So we have Hyundai employees that do that. Hyundai, they do a fundraiser for us in October.
Good. Good corporate citizens. I appreciate them.
Wind Creek. I mean, we just, our name has, over the years, our name has really gotten out there. And I think because, unfortunately, we get calls on the Hope phone all the time of people. I've just been diagnosed, and, you know, I don't know what to do.
Right.
And they didn't know where to turn. Like my surgeon who did my surgery, he had done my gallbladder surgery. He was not a, quote, breast cancer specialist.
Okay.
But he did a great job with me. But if I had known about, like, a lot of our ladies use Dr. Pam Strickland, you know, and I mean, there's other breast cancer surgeons out there, but I didn't have anybody guiding me on where I needed to go.
Okay. So they can, well, I kind of get the impression if somebody reaches out to you, they are in good hands.
Right. We can.
You know what to do.
We can tell them all about it.
That's right. And so don't hesitate to give you guys a call.
Because I was just talking to a lady the other day, at our support group meetings, and on the phone the other day, because I went through 36 radiation treatments. So she was fixing to start her first one the next day. So I was able to tell her, because I had done that.
Yeah.
I did not go through chemo. I did not have a mastectomy. I did not lose my hair. But if I talk to somebody like that, I connect them with somebody.
Yeah.
You know, because for a woman to lose her breast or her hair, that's a big deal.
It is.
And so,
of course, it's part of her identity.
But to talk to somebody who's been through that, so we try to connect people together.
I have a good friend who says she has a blog post, and it's called Stage 4 is Just a Number. But she's been through breast cancer and all of that, and is still going through treatment 9 years later. But okay, that's awesome. It's so important, again, that people realize they're not alone. When I was diagnosed, my wife and I, we had that short period of time where it's like, what do we do now? Where do we go? And we really appreciated our daughter, Natalie, because Natalie had been through lymphoma. And she got on the plane and got down here, and, she was just a trooper. She had been through so much. So that's I'm saying that to say it is so important that people know they're not alone. There are people who have experienced it, survived it, and are looking to reach out to other people.
That is the most important thing, and I think that's what Maria Ashmore has found.
That was her dream.
That was her dream.
Yeah.
That was her dream.
Boy, we praise God for folks like that in our lives. We truly do. Donna, you have been a wonderful guest, and I'm so glad that I saw that list for Women of Hope, and I said, I got to get with these folks. I'm so glad.
I am so glad that you called and contacted us, and I've been real excited about coming. And
I reserve the right to bring you back.
Please do.
And in fact, if you've got something coming up later on and you want to let folks know about it, you let me know. We'll see what we can do.
Yeah.
That would be great. Well, okay, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up. And again, Donna, you've been a wonderful guest, and thank you. Thank all of the Women of Hope. And it is truly, truly appreciated.
Well, I tell you what, it's been an honor to be president of Women of Hope. Not only do I meet a lot of people, but our board members. I can't do what I do without all these ladies.
Of course.
On the board. They are so hardworking and compassionate. And we've got a lady over here who's making the bags. We've got a lady over here who's calling people and sending cards. We've got a lady here who's working behind the scenes on the website or the this or that. I mean, everybody, I could not do what I do without their support.
Well, again, that underscores something we were talking about earlier of getting out of yourself. Find something you can do. What's in your hands? What talent do you have? What knowledge do you have? You can use that.
Right. Like, you need, if somebody, they're good with numbers, or they're good with this or good with that.
They're a good organizer.
Or talking to people or going out and trying to find sponsors for, everybody just does not do the same thing.
Who would tell a lady who came up and said, I'm with Women of Hope and we help ladies with breast cancer. Can you help us? Who would say no to that?
That's right.
They should not say no to that.
That is absolutely correct.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Donna.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. And I'm looking forward to coming back.
Okay. Well, friends, thank you for joining me and joining Donna as together we journey to hope. I truly hope that we have encouraged you to discover, sustain, or regain hope through this effort. I invite you to contact me if you have any questions or comments, or you wish to share with me something you've experienced in your journey to hope. My email is ourjourneytohope@gmail.com. That's ourjourney and the number 2, hope@gmail.com. And please share this podcast with someone whose hope is being challenged. I look forward to sharing more with you soon. Again, I'm Dr. Dave Layton, and thank you for listening. And until our next episode, remember, we give all glory to God our Father.